What's up guys, in this video I'm gonna teach you how to create APIs in Elixir under 1 second. But the first things that we have to learn is how to create an API and the basically concepts behind this. So let's start creating a context. Just two fields. I strongly recommend you to learn how to do this because in this video I'm not gonna teach because maybe we are gonna spend a lot of time just learning this. So this is just to increase to passing a few times creating APIs. So I got an error here because I didn't create the database. So let's see if I have a Postgres here. So let's create our database. This is because I just created a simple Elixir application without HTML and Webpack, and after I open my project using VS Code. So now we have the database, and now you can create your context. It's about posts. Let's see what's happened. So let's overhide everything. Oh, that's okay. Let's see what's happened here. Probably we're just gonna create just one comment, one post, sorry. Seems that everything is working, and now you can execute migrate. So before we create an API, I have an article here, and I'm gonna teach you some stuffs to create this API. So the first thing, what's the advantage and what is the benefits? When you think about Elixir, the most important is the remote procedure recall, but on this case, when you have a communication with other services, you have some benefits. One of them is multiple clients. Other one is pattern communications. And after you have a semi-structure, for example, you have a JSON APIs communicating with each other. Other benefits is communication between internal and external services. So after you understand this is gonna be easier to understand why you have to create sometimes APIs and why some customer ask this to you. So to start creating APIs in Elixir, we are gonna use the Insomnia. I strongly recommend because it's really simple to use. And then I'm gonna create an environment, really simple to create an environment in Insomnia. So click on managing environments. Then you can put a new environment here, and this is gonna be our variable host. And this variable, the address is HTTP localhost 4000 API. This is very useful to us building APIs. So that's okay. This is not our base environment, but our development. So now it's okay. So let's put a simple color here. Yeah. Okay. So we're gonna set our environment variables here. You can create a new folder, which is called post. And now you're gonna create some APIs. The first one is can be create, that we are gonna create a post like a blog here. So to use our variables that we created, you just have to press Ctrl and the space if you are using Mac. So now we're gonna call to posts. Seems to be okay. Let's start our application. So now let's start calling our services. Of course, we're gonna got an error here. So the post API post is not found. So this is really interesting in Elixir that they are suggesting some APIs to consume some services that we have. And now we just have a live dashboard here. So let's start now create our services. But before we create our services, let me explain why I'm doing this. When you think about requests in APIs, we just have a flow, simple flow. Is request is made by a client. So now when you use Postman or Insomnia or other REST API services, we are just trying to simulate what data we are gonna send to clients or send and receive. Request through big data structure, and client receives the response and process the result. Every time when a client receive a response, probably they're gonna do other things with that data. So this is a simple example and explanation. If you see an API in Elixir or other applications or other languages, you can see this example. HTTP is a protocol, the address, and then you have the resources and some parameters. So now we are creating a post, and post sending to posts, and now you can see some examples here. So to create a post, we need to pass in title and contents that we created. So let's start creating this in body. I'm gonna explain to you about parameters. So on this case, post has other shapes, which is title, and then you have content. Why I know this data? Just because we created a contest. Application. Let's see. There's a comment here. So that's great now. So verifier JSON. Let's see what's happening. We have a mistake here. So should be okay. What's happening here? I think because we are having some spaces here. So to create Elixir API application. So looks great. So to start sending the services, this is really important to know about Elixir, is that we have routes. In this case, we are gonna send in a post to a resources posts to and in this case we are gonna send in a HTTP method post to resources posts. This is gonna go to a post controller to function create. So let's start creating this function. Creating this function, it's really interesting. We're starting using blog web on this case, router, and creating our APIs here. This is called APIs. So post controller. Then we are gonna call the create function. So this is really important in Elixir. In Elixir, we have to create functions, and these functions should have parameters and a connection. So let's understand a little bit more about that. So let's create our controller, which is really simple, just a file here, post controller.ex. In this file, you can copy this structure and understand a bit more about Elixir and about Elixir, how to build some services. So controller here. So now you can see that blog router uses these resources here. So to use a controller, you can copy this and put here just passing controller. So now let's create our function, which we are gonna receive a connection and params. So let's inspect what's happening here. So now let's send our request and see if you have some errors. Let's see. I don't know if Elixir will compile our files. Let's see, compiling. Let's be okay. API. Let's see. API posts. So seems to be okay here. So everything should be okay. Let's see what's happening. Let's restart our application again. Okay, great. Let's try again. So now you can have other error that plugs must receive a connection and return a connection. But now we don't have, we are not returning a connection. So the simple result to return a data in Elixir is a JSON here with a connection, and then we can put some messages like okay. So let's see what's happened now. So now you can have a response with okay. So now you can see that we have a connection, and connection has all parameters. We have body params that we are receiving here. We have the method is a post. We have a request info, request params, and all of stuffs about our connections. And then you will receive a post here in these parameters. And post we have a content and a title. So now we're gonna manipulate our params, and in params we have a post here. So the best things that we should do is like we are receiving a post, and we just want this information here, post params. So now let's start sending this information to our database. So if you see we have a context. To use context, we are gonna create an alias posts. So now let's see, posts, create posts, sending our structures here. So now you can see a post. Let's understand what's happening here. So now just to see these informations in our JSON response. So let's pass in our post in JSON. Remove the inspect here. So now you can see that JSON encoder not implement post. This is suggest to us to create a template to retrieve these informations. So now this is why we use views. So let's start creating a view so you can copy paste, but every time all views should have the same information. All of them is about post. So let's create a post view here, post view. So let's remove this. And now you are gonna create a template. The template we are gonna create a function here, render, which is the template name is show.json. Then we are gonna receive a post. So let's start creating our template. But it's really simple now. Just returning like ID, post ID. Then we have a title, post title, and then we have a content, post content. So seems to be okay here. Let's see. Okay, so now you have the first template we are creating in Vue. And now we are not gonna use the JSON, but also using the render. Render, you should pass in our connection, the template. Template is show JSON, and then you can pass in like post. So this should render to us our post. Let's see what's happened. No, it should not work. Maybe it's because I didn't. This should be like something like also a render too. Post JSON. And then we'll return this those information. So let's use in the render one, passing our post, passing this module, and then we are gonna pass in our template. Seems to be okay now. So just one thing that we have to fix, that we just have to pass in our post here. Now send. And if it's okay, we're gonna receive other data. Let's see what's happened. Show JSON. We are passing the connection. Show JSON, and we are passing post. Seems to be okay here. So now we have this template. It seems to be right too. Okay, let's see. Let's refresh our project. So let's start running our project. So now we are receiving this information in Elixir. We have some tricks. This is HTTP codes, and if you click on, or if you go to this link, plug in status, you can see some HTTP codes in Elixir. So some things like when you see some codes here, for example, 200, it's about success. 300 is about redirections, 400 client errors, and 500 server errors. So let's see one of them. And on this case, we need something like created. So to use this, you can go to our post controller and create a pipe operator here. Put status, so created. And now you can see a new HTTP status code different here. So let's see. Now you can see a 200 here. Other thing that should be very interesting is like send a response with header params and header information. So okay, we are creating a post, and when you create, you can see data here, but should be interesting. You see the path to access this post. So let's start creating a new parameter here in header, which is put resp header. In header, we are going to inform location. In location, we are using the routes post path. In post path, we are gonna pass in a connection, and we're gonna pass our post here. So of course we don't have this route here. So let's start creating this. So this is gonna be a HTTP method get. Then you have to inform a parameter here. This is a path parameter ID. Show. This is the same controller, so let's start creating this controller. So let's copy and paste here. Show. We just need to use the ID here. Let's see what's happening here now. So we don't need to retrieve a status, just a render in show, and we don't need to use this. But of course we have to pass a post. So let's start using our services in context. Get post, passing the ID. Seems to be okay now. So let's see what's happening now. It's okay, it's working, but I don't know what's happening here. Probably it's not recompile our code. So seems to be not okay because we are having the post path. Following action is not supported. Show. So let's restart our application. So it seems to be okay now. If you see in header, you can see something like this is the location of our API. So let's create other services. New request. Show is a get. So let's see if you can access this information. No route found. This is because we are passing the API here. So let's try it again. So it's okay. You can see this informations. Other APIs that we should create is how to list all all posts to us. So let's copy again. That now is just copy paste, and it's gonna be so much easier after these steps. So post controller, and we're gonna send to a function index. So let's copy this again. Also, you don't need to use the params, so let's comment at this. Now we're gonna see to a index template. And now you can access some context and list posts, which is return all posts we have. So let's create this template here. Seems very similar with show, but the difference is that we're gonna render many templates. This is gonna be a index JSON. We're gonna send in posts instead of one post. So let's create our services here. You can duplicate index. You don't have to pass parameters. So API post not exist. Let's see what's happened. Put the first API here and try it again. Index is undefined or private. Probably the code is not compiled. Yeah, because I didn't rename our APIs. Could not render index.json. So let's see. Let's review our template here. Index.json, receiving the posts. Probably it's because we have to send a post, it's not a post here. This is the info that we have to send. So let's restart our application. So let's see what's happened now. And now everything is working. So now you can list all of your posts. You can show a specific post, and you can create other posts. So now let's see what's happened when you just send a title without a content here. You can see that Phoenix returned to us insert. This is the action that we are trying to do, but we have errors, and the errors is we don't have a content, and content can't be blank. This is required parameter in our post, inside our body. So to treat this, it's the best things that you have to do is creating a fallback controller. So now let's implement our fallback controller. And to implement fallback controller, you have to use the action fallback. And now we're gonna pass our fallback controller that we're gonna create, which is a fallback controller. It's very similar with a controller. So let's create a simple file here. So let's copy this part of code and create our fallback controller. So this is very similar. And now we are gonna create our fallback, which is we're gonna define a method call, which we are gonna receive a call, a connection, and then active change set, because we are receiving active change set here. Then this is equal change set, and then we're gonna use the connection, put status that we've learned on processable entity. And then put a view. The view we are gonna create, it's very similar when we created a post view, which is bug wrap change set view. And then we're gonna use the render to error.json, passing a change set here. So to create our change set view, it's very similar with our post view. So let's copy and paste here. Change set view.ex. So let's see the same name here. Let's see. Put the same name here. So let's create our template. So of course we're gonna use the render. And this case is error JSON, which we're receiving a change set. And now we can use the creating a map errors translate errors passing our change set. So let's create a function here. This function should be a private function, and change set, which is very easy. We're just using the ito change set. In change set, traverse errors, which are gonna pass our change set. And after our change set here, we are gonna use a function which is translate errors here. I think this is enough to us. To start using our fallback controller, we have to modify our controllers. So in controller, we have this information here. So let's refactor our create to have a friendly error now using with, and we are just sending this connection with success when you have a OK post, which is like, we have a pass parents here, and I think this is enough to us. maybe you can use a simple function, and now you can have other things to create a function in Elixir here. So let's test our API again. We should not receive this message. So let's restart our application. So let's see what's happening here. This is because we're receiving, see what we're receiving in a fallback, and this was my mistake, because when you try to use Ecto genset, we are receiving not just a genset, but we're receiving an error. Let's see here. Probably we can't see here, but this is missing. So let's start using our fallback controller again. Traverse error. Just one thing here is translate error instead of translate errors. So let's fix this and try to run our API again. Now you can see that we have errors and content can't be blank. If you try to send without a title tool, you can see that 2 errors messages. So now that you can see some errors, this is gonna be very easy to create other services like update. So let's use our show here and create a put HTTP method, passing ID to, let's see here, maybe you can put something like update, and then we're gonna send to a update function here. And to create this function, this is very similar using, it's almost the same that we need to use the show and we use the create. So let's create this function. Let's copy our create function. We just need to rename to update. So we are, of course, we are gonna receive the post, but also we are receiving the ID. So let's see what's happening because we have to receive the ID here. Also, we don't need to use the create, but the update post. And in update post, you have to pass the post params that we are passing here. Also, we need to pass in our post. To get the post, we have to use the services something like this, get post by ID. So let's using this information. So it seems to be okay now. Let's see what's happening here. We are having some errors. I forgot a column here. So let's test our services. Let's duplicate our post create. So now the method is put, and you have to pass some parameters. It should be something like, can be 12. Other things that we're gonna do is we don't have to pass a location and a request. Just keep it very simple. Just send a show and a new post. Let's see what's happened here too. Seems to be okay. Now you can see that we don't have this route, but we have this route. Let's see, posts ID here seems to be okay here. Let's see here. Should be an update. No route found, and this one should not be a. This was my mistake too. This is a get, and this one is a purge. Is undefined or private? Let's see. All the services is access. So let's recompile our service. So now let's see what's happening. I'll restart my services. So now you can see that we can update our services here. So something like this. So it seems to be okay. Let's see in index if it's working. Also, we updated and the 12 services with new updated files. So let's create our last services. The service is gonna be the delete. So you have to pass the parameter to. This is gonna be something like this. We just need to pass the ID. This service is really simple too, very similar with show. So now we just need to recover the post. To recover the post, we are gonna use something very similar with post update and create. So let's format our code here. Let's see our delete. This one is the delete. So now we just need to pass our post. We are gonna use the delete that we created. Okay. Put a new message. Put status like no content. Just send a response here. So we have a put status here. It's something like send recipe. Passing the connection. No content. And pass an empty string here. Post is unused, so let's use an underscore here. Let's duplicate our show, but we're gonna call delete. This is gonna be a delete method, and let's try our services here. Delete not found. Oh, this is okay. Let's just go up our services to the first. Let's try it again. Post delete undefined. This is, I think this was my mistake. Here we create. Let's restart our services. So now we delete the services. Let's see if we can find 12 services here. We can't. So let's delete other services, something like 1, 2, 3, oops, 4. Let's see our services, and now you can see a reduced list here without the elements. So to create a services and APIs in Elixir easily, you can use something like Mix generate JSON accounts user, the table here, email, first name, last name, and password hash. So now you create a new API under 1 second here. We just need to pass this is in router. And now you have to execute mix acto.migrate. Now you can start your application, Mix Phoenix services, create a new folder here, and you can see that this almost the same result that we creating in post. So we're gonna see users, create. So now you can see that something like you can use the services here, but also instead of using the post, we are gonna pass in the users. And in body you have to pass some data like here. Let's copy. User and user have first name, name test. Other fields that we created was first name, last name, email, and password hash. So verify our JSON and test to see. And now you know how to use the generator in Elixir and what's happened behind the code. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoy the video. Give us your like to help the channel grow and stay tuned for the next video. Bye bye.